one of the big problems with capitalism, imperialism, colonialism, and these systems of socioeconomic domination is that they're not very fun, or at least that kind of there's maybe a sick pleasure. There's these kind of dull material pleasures and the thrill of getting to tell people what to do for people at the very top. But for most people, they're not very fun, and most people don't enjoy their jobs. Some people do, but most people even in so-called free societies, spend most of their waking hours, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, in basically a situation of sort of temporary slavery, wage slavery. And you can see that, like, not only is it kind of miserable on a day-to-day basis, but the overall effects of that system are extremely deleterious, right? Because the insects are dying; they're not having a good time. The sea turtles are all, getting strangled by the little plastic things they have on beer packets. We're all full of microplastics, and we're all kind of slowly boiling to death. But it doesn't actually have to be that way. And I think a very good start is, to start with socioeconomic systems that are kind of enjoyable and rewarding and satisfying, and not just in terms of like a cheap thrill, but a kind of deep sense of satisfaction. And that sounds kind of like airy-fairy, like nonsensical, like, oh, isn't work meant to not be fun? Because we have these, strictures which are like, oh, you're not meant to enjoy working. Everyone has to do these things they don't want to do. The things like my parents told me when I was a little kid, and things, you're raised to basically believe. But there are better systems available. There are more enjoyable systems. And, if you look at people who are hunter-gatherers, pastoralists, or even agriculturalists, really interesting, it's like I'm getting really interested in looking at this landscape, is the difference between this sort of horrible monocropping, which, is destroying this ecosystem. It's terrible for biodiversity, and it's creating, increased risk for landslides, natural disasters. It's alienating, out of us peoples from their, traditional modes of subsistence. And so something I'm really interested in, and something I don't know the answer to, but I want to look into it, is how do we make agriculture fun? Because, agriculture, good and bad, is kind of one of the best ways and most reliable ways we know to support a large population. And there are a lot of us on planet Earth. And we've gotten really good at agriculture. We've gotten a lot better in terms of, how many people need to do it, how long it takes. But it's, destructive and pretty grueling work. The way we currently do agriculture, it relies, even agriculture in the West relies massively on populations of, migrants who are mistreated, who are kind of visa slaves, essentially, who, are not having a very good time. And, are packaged and sold to us in these horrible grocery stores where, you don't know where your food kind of came from, you're totally alienated from it, it's full of, preservatives, and they've, only picked out the ones that look aesthetically pleasing. So, all of those people who have, spent, days toiling in the sun picking tomatoes, half those tomatoes go in the trash because they don't look good enough for some executive drone. But what if we made farming more enjoyable? And I think we could do this because historically, there's been a thing called sort of play farming. Where people will farm seasonally. They'll do kind of horticulture, and then they'll shift back to pastoralism. And there's a nice bit of changing it up, right? Like, you look around the world, and, before the rise of modern states, and even kind of along with them, there's kind of non-permanent, temporary, playful, seasonal, social and economic structures. How's it going?
Hi. We thought you were a doll.
You thought I was a doll?
Yeah, we thought you were a doll, doing something like that.
Yeah, well, I was, but I've, come to life,
From where are you?
From where am I? I'm from,
Okay.
Have a good one. So, aside from that, where was I? Organic farming, permaculture. Is it, the new kind of play farming? Can we bring back these socioeconomic systems, these ways of kind of feeding and providing for ourselves that are, reliable, but they're not drudgerous, they're kind of playful, they're kind of enjoyable, and they don't, hopefully won't cause tremendous landslides and ecological damage. Can dolls come to life? I guess I guess in some sense I am a doll. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me.